Good afternoon and welcome to Chargers Outside Zone. I'm Chuck.
I'm Thomas.
And today is a special day. You
Yes.
got your polo shirt on.
Yes.
We are having our first annual Drafties Award.
Yes. Instead of giving out grades like every other person does,
We are handing out the Drafties.
we are.
We are huge fans of The Office, where they handed out similar awards. We are calling these the Drafties. We don't have, Dwight as our music background. We don't have Michael Scott.
We just have
making
each other.
terrible raps. We just have each other handing out Drafties for the first time. So we're super
Handing out
excited.
draftees. This will be the final
Discussion
of the 2023 draft class. Let's get into it.
Sounds good. Before we get started, we wanted to thank everybody. We had our first video over 100 views on YouTube. 14 likes for us is a huge number. Appreciate people tuning in and watching that episode.
Yes.
Much love, and we hope you stick around.
Much love. Thank
and
you.
Join us for this episode and future episodes. With that, we will remind everybody this is a father-son hobby where we focus on the team building of the Los Angeles Chargers. We are not experts. We don't discuss gambling or betting, and we stay away from hot takes the best we can.
We will. Yeah.
Yeah. This might be difficult during the Drafties award ceremony, but we'll see what we can do.
We'll see.
All right. And the first draftee this year is the Rich Getting Richer draftee. And it was decided to hand that draftee out to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Philly.
Everybody saw where they were able to take advantage of the Saints pick, moving up from 10 to 9 to get potentially one of the top two defensive players in the draft at 9. Jalen Carter slid to them, turning around at number 30, their own pick, and taking Nolan Smith out of Georgia. They did lose some folks in free agency, so this will help backfill. They add those two Georgia Bulldogs to a team that already had two Georgia Bulldogs.
It's the Bulldogs in Philly.
Yeah,
It's the Philly Bulldogs.
And then they went ahead and added Keely Ringo at 105. So, really strong start for them. And, being a team that was the Super Bowl loser, if you will, NFC champion.
Yeah.
Adding that kind of talent to a team that has Jalen Hurts on the other side, ball control, big time defense.
Yes.
Pure definition of the rich getting richer.
PR.
All right. The next award is Waving the White Flag draftee. Maybe a team that's already given up on 2023 and is looking forward to the 2024 NFL draft. Drum roll, please. That award goes to the Arizona Cardinals.
Yes. If they have the first overall pick, they'll probably trade out.
You think they'll trade it? It will be an interesting situation to see how the Arizona Cardinals progress, down their franchise quarterback that they paid and guaranteed a lot of money to.
But the head coach has an out. He didn't draft him.
Right. Previous regime drafted and signed Kyler Murray. A lot of money invested in him. If they have a terrible season, if he doesn't rehab, if things go off the rails, they could be picking very high in next year's draft. And,
Yes.
And we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. On the grind draftee. So this would be the most aggressive team according to you.
Yes.
And the award winner for on the grind draftee is the Houston Texans.
Houston. Now, at number 2, everyone was freaking out will they draft a quarterback? Won't they? The GM kept everything close to their chest. On draft night, they did draft a quarterback, and then straight up just said, hold the clock, hold the clock. We'll draft here again, and drafted a building block on defense.
They did. It was a little bit of a surprise move. After all the smokescreen at number 2, they did go ahead and take a quarterback, and then followed it up very quickly, grabbing the top defensive player in the draft, Will Anderson Jr., 2 key foundational pieces for that team moving forward with D'Amico Ryans, right?
Yes.
I did have an honorable mention in here on him being aggressive,
Yes.
but I had a little bit different slant on this. I had honorable mention the Arizona Cardinals. I know you have them waving the white flag, but I made them honorable mention here, and I'll explain why if you don't mind.
Yes.
So they went ahead and moved from 3 to 12 and got a huge haul from
The Texans.
the Houston Texans. But then they didn't sit there at 12. No matter what you think of Paris Johnson Jr., you know, they didn't necessarily need Will Anderson Jr. as much as they needed tackle. So they moved back to 12, then turned around and traded up with Detroit, got back to 6, got a tackle. They have lots of draft capital for next year. So they were just aggressive in a different manner than, say, the Texans being aggressive this year. So that's why I gave them honorable mention. I hope you don't mind.
I do not.
With that, we move on to the Stranger Things draftee. So who had a strange draft, a weird draft, in which we're titling the Stranger Things draftee? The Detroit
The
Lions.
Detroit Lions.
And I think we're both in agreement here. If you look at their picks, they went Jahmyr Gibbs, running back, at 12. I think that surprised a lot of people. Jack Campbell at 18.
Yeah.
Off-ball linebacker at pick 18. They turned around with the 34th pick from Arizona and snagged Sam Laporta, tight end out of Iowa. So it's kind of a 2-for-1.
Iowa tight ends.
Kind of a 2-for-1, getting Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta, instead of taking Bijan at number 6. They got, 2 players for 1 there. And Brian Branch, and then they later took Hendon Hooker.
Yeah.
So I think if you somehow magically reordered their picks, maybe a Brian Branch at 12 and, Sam Laporta at 18 or Hendon Hooker. And, if you just like reorder the picks in some magical fashion,
Yes.
I think everybody's like, okay, that's the order in which we expected. But the order in which they took the players was a little bit surprising. Looks like they added a lot of talent. Maybe they're zagging as the rest of the league is zigging, or vice versa. Adding a running back with top end talent at number 12, but we'll see if that running back talent pays off.
Yes.
All right, moving on to individual awards. The best edge draftee you have going to Will Anderson Jr., Houston Texans.
Yes.
You think he's going to be a star, huh?
Yes. Now, I would have had the Georgia edge,
Nolan Smith?
the Georgia defensive player,
Well, Jalen Carter's defensive tackle. This is the edge class, so
defensive tackle, but
yeah, he fell. But you're still expecting Will Anderson to play very well for the
yes.
Texans
Yes, I am.
under a D'Amico Ryans coach team. I had an honorable mention here, and as a Chargers podcast, you can look at this as best edge draftee or maybe even worst edge draftee. And I gave the honorable mention to Tyree Wilson heading to the Raiders. He joins, he has all the traits or, the height, weight, size, traits that you look for, speed, everything. He joins Max Crosby in the edge room
That's
in
just
Las
so,
Vegas.
so dirty.
Yeah, and I think Chandler Jones is still there. So you have this young kid with all the traits and all the height, weight, speed stuff joining those two guys where he can learn. This may not be good.
Yeah. Not good.
All right, moving on to best wide receiver draftee this year. That award for you goes to
JSN.
Jackson Smith and Jigba. So he was the number one wide receiver off the board. He goes to Seattle.
Which is probably the greatest fit.
Good fit for him because he has DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, where he can learn how to be a professional from those two. Lockett's been in the league a long time, doing wide receiver professionally.
Yes,
and it's good solid room. But they needed somebody with a little bit different skill set. Now they had a slot guy here in Jackson Smith and Jigba, and he could potentially do very well for Pete Carroll and the Seahawks.
Yes.
I had a couple honorable mentions for best wide receiver draftee, and those two are Jordan Addison and Josh Downs. I gave honorable mention to Jordan Addison because when you are the number 2 wide receiver on a team with a number 1 wide receiver of Justin Jefferson,
yes,
that's pretty nice. He is going to be open.
Yes.
And he's going to catch plenty of passes from Kirk Cousins, no Adam Thielen, two-headed monster, Justin Jefferson. Maybe 3 or 4 if you count TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, if Dalvin Cook stays, and some KJ Osborne mixed in. Good fit for Jordan Addison. The other one was Josh Downs, simply because he adds something different to that Colts lineup. They have the 2 outside receivers similar to Jackson Smith and Jigba landing in Seattle. He lands in a place with 2 outside receivers, and he can be that slot guy for them.
Yes.
In a Shane Steichen Colts offense ran by Anthony Richardson.
And Anthony Richardson can run, so.
Yeah, so I thought those were worth honorable mentions in the best wide receiver draftee.
Yeah.
Best QB draftee. I think you go back to one of your favorite draft classes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And you hand out the award to C.J. Stroud.
Yes. The Texans did really good.
You think he steps in day one, replaces Davis Mills?
Yes.
And does great things for the Texans.
And does great things.
I had an honorable mention here as well. Mine went to Hendon Hooker because all he has to do this year
is
redshirt, sit behind Jared Goff, rehab his knee, learn an NFL-style defense in that first year. The Lions have lots of talent around Jared Goff. If Hendon Hooker rehabs and comes into 2024 healthy with a year under his belt,
But this one was just for who's the most likely to start.
Okay. He's not likely to start, but I would have handed out this award to whoever went to the Lions.
Yes.
put any quarterback name going to the Lions, but I think Hendon Hooker to the Lions,
Yes.
you know, might work out really well for both sides there.
Yeah.
All right. In The Office, if you ever seen, there's a episode where Michael and a meme out there where Michael and Dwight, where they raise the roof awkwardly.
Yes.
You're not going to do it with me? Just going to leave me?
I don't know.
So we have a raise the roof draftee, and this is the player that we believe has the highest ceiling in this draft. And I think we're in agreement on this one.
Yes.
That award goes to Anthony Richardson, the number 4 pick to the Indianapolis Colts.
Yes.
I think we both like the fit with Shane Steichen, just like everybody else in the draft Twitter sphere.
Yes.
That, you know, if Shane Steichen can work with Justin Herbert and make him comfortable, and then move to Philly and make Jalen Hurts comfortable,
And
then he has a recipe to make Anthony Richardson comfortable.
yes.
And then let Anthony Richardson, you know, learn and take over and get that
And they
experience.
have Gardner Minshew, so
Yeah, you bring over Minshew from the Eagles, which will, you know, I think he's always. I mean, we've never seen anything in the news where he was ever a bad teammate. Obviously, you like the upside of Anthony Richardson.
yes.
Hard for a Gardner Minshew to start over somebody like that. But if Anthony Richardson is running the ball a lot and gets injured, then you have a capable backup in Gardner Minshew and filling that role of teaching him the offense, similar to a Chase Daniels being there with Joe Lombardi, you know, helping Justin Herbert along. So
Yes.
good setup in Indy with that duo. And then one last one. Most selections from one university draftee. We know there was a couple teams there was another team that took 3 players from the same university, but we're giving this award to the Los Angeles Chargers because we're the Chargers outside zone. That's the tiebreaker, really. And to be honest,
I really like the 3 picks.
Yeah, you like the 3 picks. The wide receiver playmaker in the first, the punt returner, give you some wide receiver 5 catches. I think we both like, you know, Brandon Staley's selling is that these guys can take something short and run long.
Yes.
And score touchdowns, not dependent upon Austin Eckler to run it in from, you know, inside the red zone, but, you know, strike from outside the red zone. And then I think we're both fans of that Max Duggan pick.
Yes, probably.
He's unlikely to see any time on the field outside of the preseason, but him being there with those 2 wide receivers from the same school, I think can only help the Chargers and help Justin Herbert and this offense.
Yes.
So,
and if Justin Herbert goes down,
hey, knock on wood. Don't even speak it into existence. Nobody wants to see Max Duggan on the field during the regular season. And you're likely to see an Easton stick. But anyways.
Well.
All right. With that, what do you say? Once again, want to thank everybody who tuned in.
Thank you.
To the last episode, our review of the 2023 Chargers draft class. Like I said, over 100 views. First time for us, so that was very exciting. But yeah, we got to keep the momentum going. And so please follow us on Twitter at LAC Outside Zone. Yeah. On YouTube, we are Chargers Outside Zone. Please give a subscribe, like this episode, turn on notifications. We try to do this every Tuesday and Saturday. Our website is chargersoutsidezone.com. Email us at chargersoutsidezone@gmail.com. Join us every Tuesday and Saturday for a new episode where we try to bring you the latest news on your Los Angeles Chargers.
Yes. Hey, that was a nice end.
Thanks. All right. Have a great weekend. Take care. Bye.
Bye.